I'm Michael Witch for LMC Media, and joining me today is Nicole Alafante and Pam Brandman. They're both leaders of an organization that you may not have heard of lately, or you may know it, called CURE, C-U-R-E. It's the Coalition for Understanding Racism Through Education. They're having their third annual event. Kicks off February 11th, and actually there's something right here in Larchmont on March 19th. But before we get to that, Nicole, could you tell us a little bit about CURE?
Yes, CURE, excuse me, has been in Larchmont and Mamaroneck for about 5 years now. We really are a group of volunteers living locally here, embedded in the community, who wanted to keep a conversation about structural and institutional racism going on many levels, in the schools, with parents, with community members, just really looking at that part of our country and that issue and trying to see, as we come to understand it, how we can fix it.
Pam, there may be some people in our community who say there isn't that much racism or there isn't racism at all. Do you agree with that?
No, I would say I don't agree with that. I think that really what we want to do is educate people about where you may or may not see racism right here in our own backyard. So that's what we help to do. While we may think that it's not so much an issue here in our community, that there are ways that it plays out that people might not even recognize. And so really by exploring that is the first step to really how can we address it and improve things. That's
the education part.
That's it.
Yes.
So what is this third annual event? It's called 5 Towns, 1 Book.
Yeah.
What is that about?
So, 3 years ago, we were offered funding from the county. We were told we could write a proposal, which we didn't know, which was exciting. And so we wrote this proposal to be in partnership with 5 libraries, Mamaroneck, Larchmont, Rye, Harrison, and New Rochelle. And we would pick a book and those communities would come together and read this book. And obviously it would be something based in racism, the topic. So we started with Isabel Wilkerson. It was the middle of the pandemic. She was very popular at the time. She still is. She's a Pulitzer Prize winning writer. And we looked at CAST together. So we built all these Zoom events around that, and we served like over 1,000 people coming to see her and to see these other events. Wow. The next year, we engaged with Heather McGee, who then Zoomed in live to the New Rochelle Public Library on a big screen. So it got better the next year. And we built events around that book called The Sum of Us. And then this year, I happened to meet a woman from the Westchester Women's Agenda who started the Lorraine Hansberry Coalition. And it was kind of in the back of my mind the whole time because I come from the theater. And she told me there's this new biography about Lorraine Hansberry. She reached out, her name is Linda Jones, to the author, and the author said, sure, I'll come and speak on it. So we started building around this. Wow. And, you know, Pam, if you want to expand on the very many things that come out of this book.
Now, Lorraine Hansberry, for anybody who's been through high school, a Raisin in the Sun is yes. What we know her from. Yes. But I understand she was also an actress. She was a writer and an activist as well.
Yeah, she's really, in diving into both the biography and just learning more about her life, she was so much more than just a playwright. Like you mentioned, she was started as a journalist. She was an activist. She had a close friendship with James Baldwin. She was a feminist. She really looked at the intersectionality, before that was even a word, of the arts, of being Black, of being a feminist. She also was a lesbian, and so that also all comes out in her art, particularly her later art, and this sort of friction that she felt in her life as the playwright of A Raisin in the Sun, and then this other very robust life that she had in activism, and how those two things really were a struggle for her in her life. She actually lived her last couple of years and sadly died at a very young age in Croton. And so that's why we are partnering with them. So that really is in our backyard, which is great.
Yeah.
So the kickoff event is February 11th. Is that a Sunday?
I think it's a Saturday, February 11th at 2 p.m. at the Croton Library. So this year, Five Towns is with Croton, which is great.
Okay.
And she'll be signing books, and she'll be speaking with myself and Linda and the executive director of the Human Rights Commission here in the county.
So this is an in-person event.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And then what's special happening in Larchmont on March 18th?
Yeah, so so we have 5 events at 5 libraries, and on the 18th we'll be showing A Raisin in the Sun, which is actually hard to find. You can't just bring it up on Netflix or Hulu. So for free, you can watch the full movie with us. And then afterwards, we have a longtime community member from Mamaroneck named Larry Albert. He's going to be facilitating a conversation. We're just going to sit with our audience and have some maybe cheese and wine and talk about what resonated from the film. And then there are just some other beautiful events, and that's at the Larchmont Library. And that there's some other events at the Harrison Library and the Rye Library. I mean, I'm sort of feeling giddy about it because the people who are coming here are really incredible, and our moderators are really incredible. So we have the cast and creators of Buckley versus Baldwin, which was just at the Public, coming up to Rye to speak with us. We have Alvin Clayton, a painter, CJ Farley, a journalist and writer, a spoken word gentleman, Devin Sandiford. That, you know, they're going to come to these libraries over now until April. We're going to end up at the Ossie Davis Theater reading excerpts from Raisin and from Clybourne Park, and we're going to have a redlining expert. I mean, I could go on. I'm just like, can we do a longer interview because it's really outrageous?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Where can people get the full schedule and the information that they need to attend?
Everyone should check out our website, learnwithcure.com. Really easy to remember, and the schedule is there. You can register for each of the 5 events, and there is also a beautiful program that in detail explains each of those events and who these amazing folks are who will be joining us and leading us through these conversations.
Nicole, what do you hope to achieve? What are you looking for the audience to do? Not just know something, but I think to do something, right?
Yeah. I mean, we always offer resources after our events, and I think everyone gets overwhelmed with like action. You know, what does that mean? And it's so specific for everyone. First, educate yourself. You know, start to look at your own biases, maybe learn a language for how to talk to your kids when things come up about racism. And then there are so many organizations. There's, you know, the Color of Change. There's ways to get involved in the criminal justice system. There's ways to get involved in restorative justice practices. There's education. I mean, we have a district equity task force, you know, here in Mamaroneck through our school systems. We have the Community Resource Center always needs support. You know, we have stuff going on right here where people can just give their time, give their genius and their hearts, because we have so many resourced people. And it doesn't have to be this like intense thing that you have to feel like you have to scream and march and, you know, and that's great. We need that. But you have to look at who you are and then decide how you want to enter it. And I think this particular run of events with the theater, with writers, with poetry, the Mamaroneck High School students may be submitting art and poetry around one of our events. You know, there are ways to express yourself that are personal to you, and there are ways to learn and connect that are personal to you. We just say, do it, right? You just have to do your part.
Do your part, do something individual, if only to educate yourself so that an opportunity comes up, perhaps with your kids or perhaps with your parents, that you can speak more intelligently about the issue. I wanted to know, all of these events are free, yes?
Yes, all of them are free.
You don't have to attend everything.
No, you can pick and choose the ones that really interest you. Of course, we hope you'd come to all 5, but each one really stands on its own, which is terrific.
Well, I'm happy to announce also that LMC Media is one of your partners, and there are a host of other partners besides the libraries in the community. I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with us today to tell us about the 5 Towns, 1 Book, and kicking off on February 11th with a special local event on March 18th at the Larchmont Library. Again, wish you luck and thanks for watching.
Thank you so much, Mike, and we're really grateful for LMC. Thank you.